Hey y'all, so I built this crane I call the Daddy Longleg, and it doesn't take up a lot of space, and I know people are looking for ways to add things to their ships that don't take up a lot of space. So I thought this crane would be perfect for that type of thing. With that being said, let's check this crane out. Alright, let's check out this crane. Jump down here. So I connected it to this pad with remote control, a programmable block, and the cockpit. If you want to use vanilla controls, you don't need the remote control or the programmable block. You just need to fill up about 3 hotbars full of commands. So let's unlock our counterweight. I'm gonna actually pull that up. Let's go back into this menu. I should have these on the same menu, but just for this video, I'm doing it like this, and you can, if you were gonna rebuild this, you can put it however you wanted. So if I wanted to, I can stop or start and stop and have it placed anywhere I need it. But I'm gonna go ahead and leave it out here. Alright. So let's jump out of here real quick, and I'll explain all the parts. So there's a mag plate, and then a piston, and I attached the piston to these heavy armor blocks, and then went with the mag plate and everything else. But you don't have to do that. As long as you have this cockpit and you use vanilla, that's all you need, and you can attach that mag plate to any wall or wherever you needed it, and then use the rest of this as the crane. And it's thin, and you can fold the arms in, so it doesn't take up a lot of space. Anywho, you have the base rotor, which spins the crane around, the cam rotor, which literally just for that camera, and it's supposed to always face the camera's direction, but since this is on a hinge and go this way and that way, I should have one on this side too, in case I want to reverse my work for any reason. Anyways, and then there's the first shoulder hinge, and then the second shoulder hinge, and I have these named in the command control panel as such because it's going to be important later if you're going to use Trekkie's script for park, and that allows you to use keyboard and mouse for your controls instead of the vanilla hotbar task, which can be a pain, but whatever you prefer. And then there's the arm piston or piston arm, and then the light so I can see what I'm doing at night. Another rotor, that's the first hand rotor. Here's the hand hinge, and then a second hand rotor, and then another mag plate. So once you have all that together, you can, and you've named it in your control panel here, or wherever there's a control panel you're using. You want to take all of the, let's type in crane, right? Because we named it. So this is all my crane parts. So any part that I want the park script, if that's what you were going to use, would be in here. So let's go back up a little bit. So this is a programmable block, and if you have scripts enabled or experimental mode enabled, you can add scripts. So you would go into your programmable block, which would need to be attached to the crane, and then or at least on the same grid, I believe. And then you go to browse scripts, and if nothing shows up, you'd hit this reload, and it would reload it. But you go down to your parks, I just double click, then I check the code. If it's successful, I'll click OK, and it looks like I don't have any problems besides the fact that it's not part of a faction, which doesn't matter. If it does have a problem, it would usually be something like your cockpit has throttle function enabled, or thrust function enabled. So you would just go into your cockpit and unenable the thrust control, and then you would recompile your script until you get this screen where there's no problems. The problems are pretty specific, so you just correct what it wants you to correct, and then you keep repiling, and so on and so forth. But anyways, once you have all that done, and you've created a group with all of your crane parts, like mine is the base rotor, right? Then it's the first hinge, then the second hinge, and then the arm, and then the crane hand rotor, and then I believe because there's only six I'm having a brain freeze here. So there's only 6 parts that you can control with this, and I'll show you why. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 6. So my crane extension is actually on the hotbar, and then the hinge hand is on the hotbar, and the hand rotor is on the hotbar. But those are fine because those are necessary to be on the hotbar anyways, and I don't need those to be in here for this type of control. So anyways, once you have all these grouped up and you've named that group Park, and you've done everything you needed to set up this script, you can click on the Park group again like I did, so all of your the things you assigned to it light up, and then you can start with your first one. And if you go into its custom data, you'll notice that it has a list now, which didn't before that script. But it has a list now of things you can apply the buttons to, so you can set up mimics. So this, I have yaw left and yaw right, which is pretty much the mouse and the keyboard's right and left arrow keys. And then I put every one of them. I'm not sure if it matters what number you put, but I just put -2 and then 2. If you wanted those to reverse, then you would go 2 and then -2 instead of this. But I just used 2s for everything. So go back here, and then you go into your next setup. So then we have hinge 1, and I go to custom data, and that's set on pitch up and pitch down. So that is the up and down arrow keys on the keyboard, and then the mouse wheel up and down. And then that's -2 and 2, and then if I want those reversed, like up to be down and down to be up, whatever, then I would just switch these two, and that would be 2 and this would be -2. Alright, and then go back to our Park, go to hinge 2, custom data. Hinge 2 is set on left and right, so that's pretty understandable, right? That's just A and D. So when I press A, it goes left, and when I press D, it goes right. And that's left and right, and then 2, -2, or vice versa. And the piston arm, which is set on forward and backwards, so that's W and S, 2, -2. So it just signifies opposite direction, I'm pretty sure. And then after the arm, we have the hand rotor, which is roll left and roll right, which is Q and E, as if you were in a ship. So you can remember these by acknowledging that these are all really ship control. So your yaws, whatever you use to yaw left your ship, or yaw right, and then pitch down your ship, pitch up. Same thing with the rolls. These are all pretty much ship and foot controls, so it'd be easy to remember what's what. But anyways, once you have all that set, and that's all 6, so I couldn't add any more. Actually, let me show you something real quick. So aside from these 6, then these three right here, if there's a certain position you want this crane to be in when you're done using it and you don't want to put it back there yourself, you just kind of want to put itself away, which would be really handy if you had it in a tight spot and you were in a ship and it just came out the wall. You can set this to where it'll put itself back into the wall. So if you wanted to do that, you can research that or play with that a little more. But once you have all those set up, go back to your programmable block and then recompile after you've set all that up and got that done. And then you exit, and then you probably won't ever have to play with that again unless you want to change the controls. Let's go over here, and I'm going to destroy this thing. I don't need no evidence lying around here. Alright. Have ourselves a steak. Go back over here. Let's get up in this crane. Alright, we're gonna put our... So in this crane hotbars, let me start off here. The crane hotbar, all it has is that controller. So I just press 1 and it puts me into the control mode, which has a whole nother set of hotbars. Alright, I have this hotbar 1 and hotbar 2. I have my crane extension piston, which is the piston that brought us all the way out here, on hotbar 2, but really I would rather have that on this hotbar with the rest of the controls in case. So now that we're in the controller menu, we can check out this camera. So it always faces the front of the crane. I could pan around, and I'm panning with this with a mod from the workshop by Digi, which is extremely useful because you can zoom in, zoom out, do a little espionage and whatnot. Anyways, we're gonna jump out of that and we're gonna bring this crane down. So let me get in a better view here. And you can use your mouse if you wanted to go side to side like so, but I don't find that as efficient as using the keyboard arrows to just go side to side, because the mouse, if you have vibration or you don't have a steady hand, this crane can jump around a lot like this, and I don't know if that would bother you or not, but if you use the keyboard arrow keys, there would be less of that, and you can get closer to certain things and whatnot. So that hinge, that first hinge, is all the way maxed out to the left. So which is why the second hinge is on there. So the second hinge, I can move with my A and D keys. And that first hinge was either mouse along with the base rotor, or the up and down arrow keys, and right and left arrow keys. But anyways, so with this hinge, I can go down further, and then I can extend out, and then I can go to the hand hinge, which is on hotbar 2 and 3, and I can control that hand to get it closer to the earth, like so, and then I can just boom out if I need to get closer to the ground for anything. But let me suck that boom back in, or piston, whichever you prefer. I'm gonna bring this back up. So on the hotbar, when I set this up, I did the crane cam, and I just dropped it in there like so, and all it is view. So you press the 1 to view, and then press F to come out of view. And then on 2, I found my crane hand hinge up here, and I dropped it in there, and on the menu I selected increase velocity. And then on number 3, I selected the same crane hand hinge from this menu up here, and then I dropped it down here on this hotbar next to 2, and I have it set under the list as decrease velocity. And then what that allows me to do is, so I go 2, and it'll increase, and 3, and it'll decrease. Obviously, if you want it to go faster, you can press that more than once. I know there's a lot of weird physics in Space Engineers, but I don't know how in depth or all the complexities of that. So anyways, so moving on here, number 4 is my mag plate for my hand. So I just plucked that from up here, crane hand mag plate, dropped it in there, and then under switch lock, when I placed this on here, I took the auto lock option off so it wouldn't just automatically lock, so I can choose when it locks and unlocks. So anyways, moving on. So the hand rotor is very necessary on there if you want to adjust your the direction of your load, especially if you're where I'm at. So for instance, if we go to this camera here and we're gonna go over to this pad, I wouldn't be able to necessarily set it straight without that rotor. So if I want to adjust that rotor, I'll just, let me straighten out here. So if I wanted to adjust that rotor, I would just use 5 and 6 on my hotbar, and it works the same as the hinges. So it's just increase and decrease velocity. The more I hit that increase, it's gonna increase its spin, obviously, as it says. And then I'll decrease if I want to go the opposite direction. But this will allow me to place my load straight, even though my crane's not straight. Anywho. And then number 7 is just the light I put at the end of that piston in case it's night and I want to see what I'm doing, so I can light things up so I don't tear the ship apart trying to get close. And then 8 is the outrigger and my mag plate that locks to my earth, which is my counterweight, along with this pad. With that, and this being centered, with this being one long arm like it is, it's actually very stout. So let's go back in the cockpit. And then obviously, depending on how your base is set up, I do have a grinder. And what's convenient about that is if I have something I want to throw in there, like small ship, then I can go to my hotbar 2 in my cockpit, and under 1, 2, and 3 are all the controls. So 1 is the warning light, and then 2 turns on all those drills or grinders, and then 3 is the camera or the grinder pit, so I can watch stuff grind. So anyways, let's jump out of that. So let's hop out of all this. I'm gonna grab my rover. I guess it would help if I wasn't in park, flying too many ships. Anyways, we'll just park this right here. I'm gonna hop out. Probably gonna be some parachutes flying because I have that. I need to adjust its settings. It's way too low, but I have it to where if I end up driving over a cliff by accident, the parachutes will come out and stop me from destroying my rover. But anyways, let's go to camera 1, or control first and then camera 1. And we're gonna connect extend out a little bit so you see where I'm at. Alright. Actually, to find this easier to connect, so I don't want to come in and I don't want to like come right down on top of it, because if you slam into it, you're obviously going to damage some things. But if you line yourself out up here and then say I need to go down a little more, so I'm going to come down here, and obviously I can tell you right now by that angle that I need to change my hinge hand to flatten that out. So about right there, probably, let's start with that. So about right here, I know that if I just extend my arm, my boom arm out, I'll land right over the top of that. So instead of coming down right on top of it and slamming into it, it's a little better. You can just come in like so, and I'm just gonna slide right into the top of that rover like so. Probably could have done that a little easier, but it's there. So we should be able to connect to that now. So let's get back in our menu over here. We'll press 4. So we're gonna go ahead and grab that. I'm gonna zoom back out my camera. You could zoom in a lot further if you were really trying to get into a certain spot. So we're gonna come up now, bring our boom in. Look at my parachutes go, just flying away all willy-nilly. So I'm gonna come out here. No, not in there. We'll come out here, and then we can bring this. Let's bring it all the way up. Let's change our hinge hand, yeah. We're gonna boom out, and I don't think I'm gonna reach that right. Unlock my counter, bring that up. I want to bring my boom in. Alright, and I'm gonna go to the second hot bar. The piston's extension's already on, so I just need to hit 5, come in. I think about right, oh wait, what? About right there. I should be alright. So go back to our first hot bar. Always want to get that landing gear set and locked. Your counterweight, or you could be in trouble. So we're gonna come about right here, and I know I need to extend out, so I'm kind of over adjusting everything on purpose. Yeah, so about right there. And then, and I'm gonna turn a little bit. Why'd I do that? I pressed the wrong button. Okay. I'm gonna drop it from up here. And there we go. And then if I wanted to, I can set it back up. So come down here, adjust this arm. I'm gonna bring in my boom, fix that piston straight, or that rotor. Bring that plate, unlock, bring that up. Hot bar 2, 4 on, will come in. Turn that back off, go back into our crane, relower the rig, lock to the earth. Let's drop this boom. So we need to go forward, and I want to drop it right on that conveyor connection. So I'm gonna need to adjust that hand, right? So we'll come here, adjust that hand. Forward a little more. Alright, so looks like I just need to come forward. We're gonna lock that. And that's it. So then this reconnects. if you wanted to do something like this. I just thought it was cool. And there it is. And it is real compact. I mean, you can put this up against the wall and then have the piston over here that I have extending out that way. You can have it extend out from the wall from the side over here. If you were to put that piston right here, and it would push out from the wall into the middle of a bay or something, and then you can use it, and then it'll suck that, a piston will suck it right back into the wall. So it's pretty much a crane that you can put away. And then also, if it was already built and I wanted to move it, I can have fun if I wanted to take the time, and I can set up some vanilla controls, and I can take away all this, and including the remote control and the programmable block, and I could just have the cockpit with a bunch of vanilla, and I can walk around the base with this and put it on any building or whatever. I just hit go from magnet to magnet. You know what I mean? And then it just becomes the opposite way around. But anywho's, I thought the crane was cool. Thought I'd share that. So we'll see y'all later. So that's it. That's the crane. Hope you found it useful, or maybe gave you some ideas and inspired you on something else. Please feel free to leave any comments. Check out these other videos in the playlist. There's a lot of great tutorials. And leave a like and subscribe. Thank you.